This is the lecture for section 4D about loan payments, credit cards, and mortgages. When discussing a loan, we have a few terms we need to discuss. The principal is the amount of money owed at any particular time. An installment loan or amortized loan is a loan that is paid off with equal regular payments. That's basically what you're used to. If you have any sort of car loan or home mortgage, you pay the same amount every month. And the loan term is the time you have to pay back the loan in full. We have a formula that will calculate the loan payment based on our amount that we borrowed, the annual percentage rate, how many times a year we make payments, and how many years we have the loan for. Again, I will always show you the formula first, and then I will show you our website or technology that will help do these calculations a lot faster for us. What you need to understand about loans, though, is as you go through the life of the loan, the amount of money that goes toward the principal and goes towards interest is going to change based on how much of the loan has been paid down. Very early in the loan term, what is going to be going to interest is going to be really high in comparison to the principal. But as you proceed through the loan, that interest is slowly going to go down. Your principal, the amount that you're getting towards principal is slowly going to go up, and you will then see more drastic reductions in your overall balance the further along you are in the loan. Here you can see a portion of what we call a loan amortization table. And this loan was held for 60 months, which is 5 years. You can see here that the balance on the loan is $20,000. That is the initial amount for the loan. This payment column here is what you're paying every month. And then you'll see here how much goes towards principal. That's how much is going towards your balance and how much is going to interest. And as you go down this column here of principal, you'll see that slowly as I go through here, these values are increasing until at the end, almost everything I'm paying is towards the principal. And then the interest starts off really high, like we said. And as you go through all these values here, less and less is going to go towards interest. So you'll see very early on here, these differences are not very much compared to as you get closer to the end, we see a lot larger of a difference as far as how quickly our balance is decreasing. Suppose you have student loans totaling $30,000 when you graduate from college. The interest rate is 9% and the loan term is 10 years. What are your monthly payments? How much will you pay over the lifetime of the loan? And then what is the total interest you'll pay on the loan? The first part just asks, what is the monthly payment? So to find the monthly payment on a loan, you're going to take the initial loan balance times the rate divided by 12, because you're going to pay monthly, all over 1 minus, in parentheses, 1 plus 0.09 over 12, raised to the negative 12 times 10, because it is 10 years. Using that formula, all the numbers we have here, and going to a scientific calculator, you'll see that there's a little bit of simplification going here to here. We can always put this initial form in our scientific calculator, and we're going to get this value here. $380.03 is the monthly payment over the 10-year term. So every month you're going to pay $380.03. That is the answer to the first question. The second question then says, how much will you pay over the lifetime of the loan? Well, you are paying 10 years, 12 times a year, and every time you're paying $380.03. So if you take 10 times 12 times 380.03, in total, you will pay $45,603.60. In total, we paid $45,604, and the initial loan was $30,000. So if I subtract those two values here, the total I paid minus my loan amount, this gives me my interest. I paid $15,000, or $15,604 to be exact, in interest. Just showing you here an example of this loan, the first three payments. We know our initial balance is $30,000. So at the end of month one, to find my interest, I would take 0.0075 times my balance. How did I get that value? Well, that is the 9%, so 0.09 over 12 times my balance. So it'll show how that gets you here. $225 is towards interest. So how much goes towards principal? Well, I'm paying $380.03. Take away that $225, I pay $155.03 towards principal. So then my new principal is that initial value minus my payment towards principal. And then I get a new balance. I'm going to repeat that process. Take my balance times my interest rate. That tells me how much goes to interest. So I take my payment minus my interest. This is how much my balance is going to be decreased by, which is calculated here. And that process happens all the way through. You could easily program this in Excel, and there's also websites that we're going to look at that will do all of this for you as well. The formula is messy, and if you're typing it into a scientific calculator, there's always room for error when you type it in. If you miss a parentheses or something when you're doing a fraction doesn't end up in the right spot. So again, I would prefer that you use the website calculator that I'm going to give you for all of these. Do not do them by hand. It's really not necessary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this payment calculator here. It's on the slide. And I'm going to first start with that previous example that we were looking at here, just to show you how you would type it in. So you need your loan amount, which is $30,000. The term is 10 years. And the interest rate is 9%. And then I'm going to click calculate. And what it's going to do is it's going to give me all the same answers that we wanted. So monthly payment, $380.03. So that's the same value we got there. How much do you pay in total? Well, total here is that same $45,603. They have slightly different cents. They had 28 cents. We have 60 cents. It'll be okay, I promise. There's a little bit of leeway in the grading system. So you can use this value. And you can get your entire interest. Again, they had 15,604. We had 15,603.28. So the cents may be off slightly with the calculator. I promise it'll be okay. Please use it. Other thing you can see here then is how much of your money is going towards principal, what percent is going towards interest. And then down here, it goes through the whole loan schedule. If you want to see monthly, how much you're paying towards principal and interest in your balance, or annually. So if we want to do two more examples here, if we need a loan for $400,000, type that in, $400,000. And it's 3.5% for 30 years. So 30 years, 3.5%. It wants to know what is the monthly payment. Well, we can see that right up here. Monthly payment is $1,796.18. Total you pay over the loan is this next number here, total in the payments. So $646,624.35. How much interest was paid? Well, that's this third number here, $246,624.35. So we're paying 38% is interest and 62% is principal. So that's a lot that's going towards interest. And we'll discuss a little bit later here how you can maybe help yourself in a situation like this. Let's do this one. You borrow $10,000. We'll change that to 10,000 for 5 years at an annual rate of 6.5%. And we want to find all the same things here. So our monthly payment in the green box is $195.66. Total is the second number, $11,739.69. How much interest was paid is the third number here, $1,739.69. And then we can grab those percents again. So this one was only 15% interest and the remaining 85% principal. Now, credit cards are a little different. The reason is you're not required to pay off the whole balance. That's kind of the problem with credit cards. So people will charge and then they don't pay off the whole thing. And as we saw in a previous section, that interest costs a lot. You end up paying a lot extra in interest if you cannot pay off your balance. So credit cards only require a minimum monthly payment, but that monthly payment pretty much just covers interest and doesn't really drop down your balance. So that means it's going to take a very long time to pay off a credit card if you're only going to make minimum payments. What you can do is set yourself a time period you'd like to pay it off. Use the formula or website that we just discussed, and then you can figure out a monthly payment that will pay off that credit card in the time frame you set for yourself. Let's say you have a credit card balance of $2,300 and your annual interest rate on your credit card is 21%. You decide that you want to pay it off over a year. How much would you need to pay each month, assuming that you're not using that card to make any more purchases? Well, here's an image from that website that we just used. I can make it seem like a loan of $2,300 that I want to pay off in a year with my interest rate. And if I use a monthly payment of $214.16 here, I would be able to clear that debt. So time to clear the debt, 1 year. And you would see, again, your total number of payments, how much interest you would have paid as well. On January 1st, you have a balance of $10,000 on your credit card. If you wish to pay off the balance in the next year and do not purchase anything else on the card with an annual percentage rate of 18%, what would be the monthly payment? How much total did you pay? And what percent of that was paid in interest? So we're going to treat this now as it was like a loan. Using our same formula, website, whichever one you prefer here, I've got $10,000 that I want to pay off in 1 year. And my rate is 18%. And I will click calculate here. Monthly payment is listed up here as $916.80. In total, I would pay $11,001.60. And that would be 9% of what I paid went towards interest. So as you guys have seen, anytime you're getting a loan or you have a credit card balance and you're carrying that balance over, you have to repeatedly pay interest on that. When talking about a mortgage, like a home mortgage, it again is an installment loan designed specifically to finance your home. When you purchase a home, usually you have a down payment, and that is the money that you pay upfront outside of the loan. So let's say you want to purchase a house for $200,000. You have $20,000 that you can pay right now. So you pay that, and then you get a loan for the remaining balance, say $180,000. Now, there are also things like closing costs, which are fees that you have to pay to get the loan. So those sometimes get added into the loan as well. They can be appraisals, they can be fees to the bank, credit checks, depending on your credit. They can give you points or make your percentage rate a little bit higher just because you may be a little bit riskier of a person to give a loan to. So those are all things to consider when you're taking out a mortgage. The examples we will work with are called a fixed rate mortgage. And basically what they do is they say the entire life of your loan, your rate is 5.2%. The other option that can happen is what's called an adjustable rate mortgage. What happens though is that changes over time based on the current market. So you may at times pay 3%, but then you may pay 7%. So it's adjustable, it's changing over time, depending on what you would like to do, what you can afford, the amount of time on your loan. You may choose either one, but do know that this one at times can be less, but at times can be more than what you would have to pay if you just picked a fixed rate mortgage. Another thing to consider is the length of the loan. And depending on the length of your loan, your percentage rate can change. We are going to compare two loans here. If we need a loan of $100,000 to buy a house, Bank One offers a 30-year loan with 5% APR, while Bank Two offers a 15-year loan with 4.5% APR. Compare the two plans. Well, let's start this first one. 100,000. We're going to do 30 years with a rate of 5%. So option one, our monthly payment is $536.82. In total, I will pay $193,255.78. Interest will be $93,255.78. And we can see that's about half, almost half and half. Wow, 48% towards interest and 52% towards principal. Now let's calculate Bank Two's offer. We are cutting the time in half. And when I do that, I'm also cutting the rate down just a little bit. We can see now our monthly payment is going to be a little bit more just because I have less amount of time to pay it off. So $764.99. The total I will pay over the course is $137,698.79. Interest is $37,698.79. And the percentages here, 27% towards interest and 73% towards principal. Things that I see and things that I know are the shorter your loan term, the less you're going to pay in interest. But the trade-off to that is you are going to have a higher monthly payment. So if you can afford the higher monthly payment to shorten the term of your loan, you're going to save yourself in the end. Because if I compare these total values, that's about $60,000 almost between the two of those. And that $60,000 is just towards interest. So the quicker you can pay down a loan, the more you can put down per month, the better you are going to be in the long run, as far as what you're paying, how much extra you're paying, and so on. Here's just a graphic that shows you the relationship between principal and interest when you're paying a loan. Your payment here is going to be $500, let's say $537 is our payment. In any given month that I can figure out here, the red is going to be how much is it going to be going towards principal, and the blue is going to be how much is going towards interest. So you can see how early on you're paying a lot more in interest than you are in principal. So they've marked off here at month 5. At this point, you're paying about $384 in interest. So 537 minus, I guess it's 153. That's going to go towards principal. So that's about 153 there. And the remaining is going to go towards interest. But as you move towards about the halfway point of the loan, you'll see that those values start to switch. And then slowly you're paying more towards principal and less towards interest. It's another reason why, if you can shorten the duration of your loan or do some other things that we'll talk about on the next few slides here, you can benefit yourself. Ways that you can help yourself in a loan is to do one of the following. Have a larger down payment. Or option 2 is pay extra each month, assuming that there's no prepayment penalties. Always, always, always double check to make sure that it is okay to pay extra or prepay and that there's no penalty on that from your lender. What I'm going to show here is the difference of doing a monthly payment of $380.03 on that $30,000 loan versus a $480 payment. Can I put an extra $100 down a month, and what changes? You'll see here, I'm just going to show you the first 3 months. So you can calculate your interest, how much goes towards principal, and at the end of your 3 months, we're at this value, $29,531.42. Just some total values here. If you pay $380.03 per month for 10 years, you're going to get that $45,604 from that student loan. This is the example from before, and $15,604 in interest. So this is that same example we worked at a little bit earlier. The next slide is going to show what happens if I could pay it down faster. We can see we have a table here. We have going to do the same thing again. You can calculate interest, how much is going to go towards principal, and you'll see your balance go down. At the end of 3 months on the last one, we were at $29,531.42. And at this one, we're at $29,229.25. So you can see how we're paying down that balance faster. If you pay $480 a month, you'll pay this off in 85 months, which is 7 years and 1 month. So rather than paying for 10 years, you've paid this off in about 3 years early. You'll also see here the total you paid is less. It's $40,633.46 and $10,633.47 in interest. So we saved just maybe what, $4,500 in interest just by paying this loan off faster. This is the end of section 4D. So you can go on and do your Pearson homework and your discussion board. And then the next week is going to be an exam over your first two chapters.